After a rafting expedition with her friends, Sarah and her family get into a car accident. She awakens to the nightmare of surviving while her husband and daughter didn't. Sarah and Beth drive to meet up with Juno out in the sticks. Sam, Rebecca, and Holly are in the rustic cabin. The women reminisce and share some drinks. In the early morning, Juno is hyped for adventure while the other women are still groggy and half asleep. They get ready and drive further and further into the wilderness. Finally, they arrive at their destination. Juno decides to leave the cave guidebook in the car. Everyone gears up and they begin the hike to the caves. Rebecca warns them about all of the dangers one may experience while spelunking in the darkness. The women come across a dead elk and stop to take a look. They reach the gaping hole of darkness and prepare to descend into the depths. They take in their surroundings at the bottom in awe. Holly, the daredevil, zooms down and Juno reminds her to do things safely. The group begins crawling their way into the narrow tunnels. After tossing a few flares around, they explore a cavern. Everyone takes a break for some lunch. Sarah wanders off a little and finds what she believes to be the next passage, however it is different than what was described in the book. The tunnel becomes incredibly narrow, so they must proceed one at a time. Sarah is the last to enter, but hears something strange behind her. She gets stuck in the narrow passage and begins panicking. Beth comes back to help Sarah, calming her down and guiding her. While still in the tunnel, it suddenly begins collapsing and they barely make it through. Trapped on the other side, it comes to surface that Juno decided for them to explore a cave that no one has ever been in. Unfortunately, Mountain Rescue will be unable to help them since this isn't the cave they were supposed to be in. Left with no other option, the expedition presses on. They reach a massive chasm with no other way to go. Having the most experience, Rebecca begins slowly making her way along the ceiling, setting up a rope to get across. She finds a hook in the ceiling that was placed by someone before her. The women begin going across one at a time. Juno sends the rope over and makes her way along the ceiling, retrieving the equipment as she goes. Right before reaching the end, Juno slips, nearly falling to her doom. They haul her up, but Rebecca suffers major damage to her hand from rope burn. Beth stops to look at a painting on the wall. Juno scolds them for wasting battery while wielding 2 flashlights. Beth points out that the painting shows 2 entrances. Something nearby drips. Ahead, the tunnel splits and Juno uses a lighter to determine where airflow is. Holly darts in, racing ahead of the group. She thinks she sees daylight and carelessly runs straight into a hole. Juno hangs onto her, but her hand slips. Holly survives, but is seriously injured with a very broken leg. Sam directs them to move Holly and begins trying to make a splint. Sarah hears a child's laughter and decides to wander off alone. Before Sam can splint Holly's leg, she must first straighten the protruding bone. Sarah finds something in the darkness. When she goes back to tell everyone she saw someone, Juno dismisses her claim, saying no one could possibly be down here. They climb up into a new room and look around with a camera using the night vision. Suddenly something sneaks up behind them and scurries off.
I told you I saw someone! That was not a human being! Screw this!
They huddle together, unsure of which direction to go. The creature attacks, ripping at Holly's neck. Things start to fall apart as they try to defend themselves. Juno slices the creature, but gets jumped from behind by another creature. In the chaos, Juno whips around and stabs Beth in the neck. Looks like Juno is the new kill leader with 2 in the bag. Rebecca and Sam get separated and are watched by another creature. Sarah, left unconscious and alone, wakes up in the darkness with the video camera as her only means of seeing. She watches in terror as one of her friends gets eaten. Sarah makes a small noise and almost gets discovered. Rebecca and Sam lay low as the creature skulks around them. Meanwhile, Juno runs around screaming for her friends, making as much noise as possible. Juno finds another creature and goes after it. Sarah gathers some gear off Holly's mangled corpse and makes a torch. Rebecca and Sam get jumped and a fight breaks out. A rage-filled Juno arrives and absolutely destroys the creature, securing her place as kill leader. Sarah walks through the carnage and finds Beth, barely alive. When Sarah says she's going to find Juno to get help, Beth tells her that Juno is the one that did this to her. Beth asks Sarah to mercy kill her since she's a goner anyways. Out of nowhere, a creature attacks her, but Sarah kills it. Apparently this one was Mama's little child. Sarah runs away and falls into a pool of blood. She tries to sneak away, but Mama is back with a vengeance. They wrestle in the blood, and Sarah gets in an instant kill antler stab. Sarah hears another creature and plays dead in the corpses. Papa's home from work and he's hungry for dinner. Sarah sneaks behind him with a killing blow to the head. We might have a new kill leader here. The other women hear the scream and hurry away, not knowing who it is. Juno goes back to look for Sarah, running into a critter nest, and for some reason she screams at them? Sam and Rebecca somehow lose each other, and Sam runs up to another chasm. She pulls out the old ceiling crawl trick and begins her work. Juno and Rebecca find Sam and try to convince her to come back. A creature spider crawls on the ceiling and slashes Sam's neck. She somehow manages to stab it before instantly dying. Rebecca gets grabbed and the creature starts eating her alive. Juno decides to jump into the chasm instead of helping her friend. Of course, the creature there is still alive. Juno climbs out of the chasm and is pulled up by Sarah. She immediately questions Juno about Beth and asks if she saw her die. Juno lies, nodding. The two seasoned kill leaders carry on for the ultimate showdown. They run into 3 creatures blocking their path. Juno wrestles with one as Sarah manages to hold off 2, crushing one's eyeballs into its skull. They manage to kill the creatures, but afterwards, Sarah stabs Juno's knee and leaves her to die, securing her place as kill leader. Sarah falls down another tunnel, but is awoken by the glorious sight of daylight. She breathes in the fresh air and escapes the hellhole. She gets in the vehicle and zooms away, leaving the nightmare behind her. Sarah breaks down in the vehicle to cry, finally grieving the loss of her friends. Just kidding, it was a dream. She's still trapped. Sarah imagines that she's sitting having cake with her daughter, but it does appear that the cake is, in fact, a lie.